Okay, welcome back. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandanam Rajajanarandana Yashodanandanam Rajajanarandana Yashodanandanam Rajajanarandana Yashodanandanam Rajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, असंबद्ध भक्त वृंद की जय। Hare Krishna. Welcome back everyone. We will continue chapter 5. Today I have to get back to my PowerPoint. Before that we can just read the verses, then I will show the PowerPoint. So let me share my screen. Okay, you guys can see the screen, right? Okay. Okay, so we are in chapter 5, section 2, Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness. We covered up to verse 6. Lord Krishna says, merely renouncing all activities but not engaging in devotional service cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Na achirena adhigachati. Now, further taking what happens who works in devotion. So, in further like 7 to 12, we'll know about the nature of person who is working in that Nishkam Karma platform with knowledge, working with the knowledge of Krishna, surrendering in service of Krishna. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can just read the translation. Just hold on. Trying to toggle the things here. Okay. All right, we can begin text 7. Deepa Mataji, are you able to read from India?
Yeah.
Great.
One who works in devotion who is pure soul and who controls his mind and senses is dear to me, dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to me. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Text 8 to 9.
Yeah.
A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Text 10. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme Lord is unaffected by sinful actions, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Text 11. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. Text 12. The steady devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me, whereas a person who is not in union with divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
Thank you so much. So this is the section where we learn about the characteristics of a pure soul. When we are in purified condition, our mind and senses are controlled. Everyone is dear. Everyone is dear to us, and we are dear to everyone. How it happens, Srila Prabhupada will explain that in the purport. We can read now the Sanskrit verses and then the purport. Okay, verse 7. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi nalipyate. Okay, Aditya Prabhu, can you read?
Translation. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. One who is in the path of liberation by Krishna conscious is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches. Or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in Krishna consciousness. Because he is pure in Krishna consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than the service of the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna, and he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield would continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So, spiritually, no one was killed in battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in reactions of earth.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So how one becomes dear to everyone?
By engaging myself, sir, in Krishna consciousness. Like if I am dear to God, then I am dear to everyone. God is everyone for us.
Yes, yes, very nice. Nice. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all. Because the tree, like you're watering the root, you are satisfying all the branches, leaves, twigs. So everyone is satisfied by his work because he is pure in consciousness, because he is serving Krishna, right? Because he is pure in consciousness, his mind is completely controlled, and because mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed in Krishna, there is no chance of being deviated from Krishna. So he always wants to serve Krishna in any condition, 24/7. He will not eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. He will not go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. If there is no work for Krishna, he will not do that. Right? So such person cannot be offensive. Arjuna was not offensive. It's because he is just carrying out the order of Krishna. So who is working in devotion, then he is a pure soul who is able to control basically his body, mind, and senses. His basically consciousness, mind, and senses are controlled. So he becomes dear to everyone because he is serving Krishna, right? So very important. We have to understand this. Working for Krishna is purifying. So what happens to that person? Like Srila Prabhupada has already hinted something in purport, how that person behaves. He doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't eat anything without Krishna's involvement, without offering Krishna. And that's further elaborated by Krishna himself in these two verses. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyet tatvavit Pashyan Sridaman Sprashan Jigran Ashan Gachan Swapan Swasan Pralapan Visarjam Grihanan Unmishan Nimishan Api Indriya Indriyartheshu Vartanta iti dharayan. Okay, Anil Prabhu, you are there, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, I'm there.
Nine ten.
So, which purport, Prabhu, that is?
Verse 9-10. Sorry, 8-9.
Okay. Yeah, a person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and he is aloof from them. A person in Krishna consciousness is pure in his existence, and consequently has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and the fortune. This is because he is engaged in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Although he appears to be acting with his body and senses, he is always conscious of his actual position, which is spiritual engagement. In material consciousness, the senses are engaged in sense gratification. But in Krishna consciousness, the senses are engaged in the satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Therefore, Krishna conscious person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in the affairs of the senses. Activities such as seeing and hearing are the actions of the senses meant for receiving knowledge, whereas moving, speaking, evacuating, etc. are the actions of the senses meant for work. A Krishna conscious person is never affected by the actions of the senses. He cannot perform any act except in the service of the Lord, because he knows that he is the eternal servant of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, I have to share it again. Okay. So there are 5 factors of action, right? Srila Prabhupada takes. Actually, it is mentioned in chapter 18, I think. In 3rd chapter, we learn about different types of doers, 3 doers. Now there are 5 doers discussed in chapter 18. So the action is performed by the person who is doing it, and the work, the situation, the endeavor, and ultimately fortune means Paramatma. So we have to be doing everything, but if there is no permission from Krishna, then nothing will come out. There is no outcome. So a devotee who is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, he understands that only the senses are engaged. He is not doing the work, but there are 5 factors of action. Ultimately, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is free from the bodily concept of life, he always thinks his relationship with Krishna, like we studied in the last verse, that one has to pour the water on the root. So he satisfied everyone and his senses are satisfied. He's not agitated to do something for oneself. He's not greedy. He's doing everything for Krishna. So therefore, he is not in anxiety to get something out of it. Definitely, he is trying to please Krishna, but he's not in anxiety because he is completely composed, because he knows the work is belong to Krishna. The result will also belong to Krishna. So his duty is simply to work for pleasure of Krishna. This is nice verse, 5:10. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah dipyate na sa papena padmapatram vivambhasha. Padmapatra is lotus leaf, very important in this verse, analogy given by Krishna. So who is not read? Diva Mataji, again your turn.
Translation. The one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results onto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Purport. Here, Brahmani means in Krishna consciousness. The material world is some total manifestation of 3 modes of material nature, technically called the Pradhana. The Vedic hymn Sarvam Etad Brahma, Mandukya Upanishad 2, Tasmat Etad Brahma, Nama Rupam Annam Cha Jayate, Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.9, and in Bhagavad Gita 14.3, Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma indicates that everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman, and although effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. In the Isha Upanishad, it is said that everything is related to the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, and thus everything belongs to him only. One who knows perfectly well that everything belongs to Krishna and he is the proprietor of everything, and that therefore everything is engaged in the service of Lord, naturally has nothing to do with the results of his activities, whether virtuous or sinful. Even one's material body, being a gift of the Lord or for carrying out particular type of action, can be engaged in Krishna consciousness. It is then beyond contamination by sinful reactions, exactly as lotus leaf, though remaining in the water, is not wet. The Lord also says in the Gita, Mai sarvani karmani sannyasa, resign all works onto me, Krishna. The conclusion is that person with Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of material body and senses. The person without Krishna consciousness acts according to the concept of material body and senses. But a person in Krishna consciousness acts according to the knowledge of that the body is property of Krishna and should therefore be engaged in the service of Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So when we are working in that, giving everything to Krishna, then we are not getting a reaction that we have studied in chapter 3 also. So Prabhupada is reminding us, verse 30 in chapter 3, that everything belongs to Krishna. So we are just his instrument. We just carry out his order. He is the owner. He is the source of everything. So simply we follow his instruction, try to satisfy him. So there is no reaction, because Prabhupada gives an example in 3rd chapter, like a soldier in battlefield is working for the country, they doesn't get punishment for killing. In battlefield, a soldier is given award by killing the enemy side, right? Fighting in the battlefield. But the same person, if he comes back and kills somebody in a peace time, then he's immediately punished. Because in one case, he is working for the state, higher order. In another case, he is just killing for one's own purpose. So whether it is killing or eating or any job we do, or anything that we are doing, when we are doing for Krishna, we are guided by Krishna's devotees and we are working for Krishna, then there is no karma. We have learned it. It's called akarma, right? In chapter 4, we learned it's called akarma. So the akarma means it's like being in the material world, working, but not getting reaction. It's like lotus leaf, being in water, but not touched by water. Always the water glides through the lotus leaf. So very important analogy. So I think we can read up to 12 today. Verse 11. Kayena manasa buddhyaya kevaler indriyerapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangatyaktva atma shuddhaye. Okay, again Aditya Prabhu, your turn again.
Yes, sir. Translation. The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with senses only for the purpose of purification. Purport. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sadachara, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasmrata Sindhu describes this as follows. Should I continue?
Iha yasya haredasya karmana manasa gira nikhilasvo api avasthasu jivan muktah sayuchate. Very important verse. So read the quotation is translation.
Yes, sir. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person, even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities.
he has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body, or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body, and this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna, and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once uh, dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness.
Okay. Perfect stage of Krishna consciousness is also called Jivan Mukta. So Mukta is already liberated, although one is in material world, but because he is working with his body, mind, intelligence, and words only for Krishna, although he is having a body in this world, material world, still that person is liberated, because in the condition of liberation, the soul is engaged in Krishna's service. As we have learned that the liberation is not perfect when one is kind of just impersonally liberated, like just with the body but not having connection with Krishna. One may go to Brahma Jyoti, but unless one is connected with Krishna by service, one is not having a perfect liberation. So if someone is already doing that in this world, perfectly engaging body, mind, intelligence, and words, everything, whatever one has, offer everything to Krishna, serve 24-hour Krishna, the whole life is dedicated to Krishna, then one is already liberated even while living in this world. So Srila Prabhupada points out sadachara. Some people say sadachara, like, there are like social activities. Okay, I respect everybody and I do some social activities. But Srila Prabhupada says that, what is a perfect sadachara is serving Krishna. It's not that what you are doing, it is what you are doing in what consciousness. That is important. So again, liberation is not just quitting the body and saying that, okay, I am Atma and now I am free from body, free from anxiety, and I have nothing to do. It's not like that. One has to be engaged in Krishna's service. That is perfect liberation. As we discussed earlier, real liberation means hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavasthita. So giving up all other designations, depending on body, like, we may think we are man, woman, or depending on nationality or race, the job position related with some family and affiliation and all those things, we can say we are this, we are that, but they are all relative. But ultimately, absolutely, we are connected with Krishna. When we realize and work for Krishna, then that is the perfect liberation. Okay. So verse 12. So what happens to that person? He gets peace. Verse 12. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantim apnoti nashtikim ayukta kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate. Okay, Anil Prabhu, your turn, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
We are
So
verse 12, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, the steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled. The difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that the former is attached to Krishna, whereas the latter is attached to the results of his activities. The person who is attached to Krishna and works for him only is certainly a liberated person, and he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety or the result of an activity is explained as being once functioning in the conception of duality, that is, without knowledge of the absolute truth. Krishna is the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. In Krishna consciousness, there is no duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy, and Krishna is all good. Therefore, activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental and have no material effect. One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness. But one who is entangled in profit calculation for sense gratification cannot have that peace. This is the secret of Krishna consciousness. The realization that there is no existence besides Krishna is the platform of peace and fearlessness.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So the peace comes because somebody who is perfectly working in Krishna consciousness, whereas one is working for himself, then he is entangled because he is just looking for the fruit, and that's what it happens to us. We are hankering or lamenting because simply we are hankering something we don't have. I mean, lamenting means something we are, we missed or we lost it. So Prabhupada gives example like somebody is like hankering for $1 million. He gets $1 million, and then if he loses the $1 million, then he is lamenting. But where somebody is always engaged in Krishna's service, so everything is for Krishna, so one is completely peaceful. There is another verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said that Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakalya Shanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayava Shanta. Peaceful. Krishna Bhakta is peaceful, Shanta, because he is not looking for enjoying his senses, Bhukti, not looking for getting liberation from body, Mukti, not looking for yogic Siddhi, so Siddhi. So he is not looking for any of them. He is simply desiring Krishna's satisfaction. He is Nishkam. Working for Krishna means Nishkam, no desire. So we cannot become desireless. Prabhupada says like we cannot become desireless. We can never become desireless. Soul is always active. We can never become inactive. Soul is always active, whether inside body, outside body, doesn't matter. Always active by nature. And so therefore soul always has desire. The only thing we can do is we can purify our desire. We can desire to please Krishna. Purify our desire means we basically give up our false ego that we are this body or all this material relationship, but we have to recognize our relationship with Krishna. Then we are not entangled. So any discussion so far? Any question? Okay, I'm trying to share my slides now. So basically the slokas are here in slides and few extra points. So we read this verse 7. Yoga Yukto Vishuddha Atma. Vishuddha Atma, one who is connected with Krishna, is a Vishuddha Atma, is a pure soul. Vijit Atma, that means he controls his mind. Jitendriya means who controls his senses. Then he becomes Sarva Bhuta Atma Bhutatma. So he becomes dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. So this is the way we can become dear to everyone. You know, we are all looking for good relationship, right? We are all looking for relationship in this world. Ultimately, like, we want everybody should be happy with us, right? We don't want anybody to be, in anxiety and then coming to us and complaining and nagging and crying. And so we want good relationship with people, right? We want to see happy people. We want to be happy and we want to see happy people around us. So this is the key here, to work in devotion. Then we can become dear to everyone. Like we learned about pouring the water. Can you guys still hear me? My net looks like got slowed down.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So that person is pouring the water to the root. So you can see the picture. The person who is Yoga Yukta, he sees Krishna in everyone's heart, right? He does not see anything without Krishna. He sees everyone's relationship with Krishna. So therefore he is peaceful. He is not afraid of anything because he understands everything belongs to Krishna. Everyone is creation of Krishna. So he has nothing to worry. He does not worry about his own body because he understands even his body belongs to Krishna. So he's not even afraid of death. We learned about the fear. The fear comes because of thinking that something is different from Krishna. Not seeing the relationship with Krishna, then we get fear. When we see everything related to Krishna, Krishna is my best friend. We'll learn in the last verse in this chapter, verse 29. Krishna says, I am the best well-wisher of everyone. Then we get peace. Definitely. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma is the emphasis that he is dear to everyone. So, it's very important that we can do a self-check. How much good relationship we have around us. We can get a sense of pleasing Krishna. When we are pleasing Krishna, people around us are pleased. Because a Krishna conscious person is not offensive to anyone. So 3 terms used in this verse, Vishuddha Atma, Vijita Atma, Jitendriya. So they are gradually controlling the intelligence, controlling mind, and controlling senses. Then one becomes dear to everyone. Jitendriya. So verse 8 and 9, we learned about that such person is acting, but he is not in a consciousness that he is working, but he understands that the senses are engaged in activities and he is not attached to them because he knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and he is not the doer because there are 5 doers, and therefore he is completely out of the entanglement of his senses. He's not a sense gratifier. He's completely aloof. So these are the 5 things Srila Prabhupada mentioned based on what Lord Krishna says in chapter 18. So the doer, that means the body, the work, the situation, the endeavor or the desire, like how much we work hard or less or whatever the work, endeavor one performs. And ultimately, we can do all these things. Ultimately, it has to be sanctioned by the Lord as Paramatma. So Krishna conscious person is never affected by action of the senses. So you can see, we have seen this in chapter 3 also. Although he is shopping, but he is shopping for Krishna. He is hearing music for Krishna. He is hearing Kirtan, Hare Krishna Kirtan. He is tasting food which is offered to Krishna. He is smelling flower which is offered to Krishna. So he is doing everything for Krishna's pleasure. Whereas somebody on the other side is silently sitting and imagining something for the sensual pleasure. So the perfection is to engage our senses and mind and intelligence in Krishna's service. And verse 10, we know about the lotus leaf. When we are working for Krishna, then we are not getting any sinful reaction. Although the lotus is in water, not getting any contamination by water, not touched by water. Similarly, although we are in this material world, we are not touched by material nature. Completely free. You can see this lotus leaf. The water is not touching, but it is simply gliding, rolling over the leaf. Srila Prabhupada tells that Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic. If there is any epidemic in the city, a person who has taken the vaccine will not be affected. Similarly, this Krishna consciousness is the antiseptic method to free one from the contamination of this material world. So, lipyate na sa papena. A Krishna conscious person is not affected by the contamination of this material world. Srila Prabhupada delivered this lecture in early days of ISKCON in 1966 in New York City from his 26th Second Avenue quarters. So, Krishna consciousness is like vaccine to the Atma, not vaccine to the body. Don't tell me that, oh, you are telling us that, we don't need COVID vaccine. Well, you need to do whatever you need to do for the body to maintain the body and soul together. But antiseptic, what Srila Prabhupada is telling is about the soul. So not attached to the material world. That is antiseptic. So in verse 11, we learn what is the purpose of detached work. It is only for Atma Suddhe, for the purpose of purification. We also learn in chapter 3, 25 that those who are perfectly working for Krishna, they are only working to set example for others. And here it is said by Krishna that those who are completely abandoning attachment and acting for Krishna, that is only for the purpose of purification. And verse 12, last verse today, the steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace. We can see that left side, the devotees are engaged in Sankirtan, chanting and dancing and blissful. You can see everybody is so happy. They are happy, they are peaceful because they offer everything to Krishna. So they are peaceful. The right side, somebody who is greedy, who is running after the carrot. You can see the carrot is hanging in front of him. Sometime like there is example of a donkey. The washermen in India, they hang a carrot in front of a donkey. So donkey thinks that If he walks, then he will get the carrot. But he keeps walking, he never get carrot. So it's like that. When we become greedy in this material world, like the carrot keeps moving. We want this, we want that, and we are completely entangled in this material world. Like you can see at the lower bottom, entangled is like bound by the rope in this material world. So we have to understand how to get away from this material world. The only solution is to work for Krishna. That way, we are not touched by the material world. We can live in this material world like a lotus leaf is free from water. We can become free from the material contamination. Okay. So any sharing after attending the Bhagavad Gita? How is our life, changing? How we are realizing that we have given up some of the you can say attachment. If you give attachment, you become peaceful, right? If you have something trying to hold on, then you are in anxiety. But people, they say the yoga world nowadays, they say let go, like that. So is there someone feeling after studying Bhagavad Gita, engaging in Krishna consciousness, is there something relief in one's life? Is some who can share that? Anil Prabhu, you seem like you are more peaceful nowadays.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any positive change after regularly reading Gita?
Yes, I'm getting into the habit of doing the chanting regularly. Like even if I miss chanting, or doing on any given day, I'm realizing at least that I missed the chanting today for so and so reason. But without giving the excuses, I'm trying to do the chanting every day, even in spite of the busy schedule. So that's kind of change I'm seeing in myself. Once I started listening these Bhagavad Gita classes, before I started listening Bhagavad Gita classes, I know that this Bhagavad Gita is there, and we have to have the Krishna consciousness. But the thing is, because I'm doing other things apart from listening to these classes, I'm not that serious about doing my chanting regularly. I'm not taking that very seriously. Even I'm not once I started engaging in this, listening to your Bhagavad Gita lectures and everything, I'm very determined to get the knowledge more and more, and I'm making sure that I'm not missing my chanting, and at least my one round of chanting every day. I'm taking that seriously, and I'm in that way I'm staying myself very peacefully.
Very nice, very nice. That we were trying to get away from the material contamination, right? That's engaging
Yes.
your consciousness in Krishna, and so coming closer to Krishna. That's so nice experience, bro. And that this is the association of devotees. Like we need each other's association. We need each other's encouragement. That
Yes,
is
Prabhu.
the way. I mean, positive change in my life also comes because I have committed, right? We are all committed, meeting every Sunday. So many unwanted things we can give up.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing. Aditya Prabhu, how is your life going?
Sir, kind of busy. The research, I am associated with 2 research projects now, and sir, I am the only student under my advisor, so there is a lot of pressure right now.
Lot of-
Even
Yeah.
sir,
Lot of work, huh?
Yes, sir. Even today, like I was whole day I was in the lab. I just came and then joined the
Very
Bhagavad Gita
nice.
class.
Very
Yes, sir.
nice. Thanks for your commitment to be regularly joining it. And
Yes, sir.
Krishna is always saying that you can work in lab 24 hours. Arjuna was working 24 hours in battlefield. There was no excuse. He was not going away, right? He has to fight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why
So,
I just, yes, sir. I
yeah,
came and then joined.
yeah.
Like
So,
it keeps me sir, refreshing, like new thoughts, new things to learn in every class. So
what is the new thing you learned today?
like sir, I learned that when you like our life is like a tree. If you give like material bondages such as pesticide to it, there will be no fruit at the end. But if you like, if you associated with devotees and chant Hare Krishna and that type of organic thing to that tree, then there will be better fruit. So like this is the learning from today's class, sir, for me.
Hmm. And we have to get away from this dirty water, right? How to
Yes,
stay away from dirty water? Become like lotus leaf, right?
yes, yes, sir.
How do you become like lotus leaf? What to do?
um
Work for Krishna.
yes, sir. Yes,
Be in Krishna conscious, Krishna consciousness. So even working for lab, it's not that like you are using your hand all the time. You're using
yes,
your leg all the time. Like there are like sometimes there is a space between experiments that you have to sit down. Sometimes you have to eat. Sometimes you have to drink. Sometimes we can chant. Like we
yes,
don't have to have physically the beats showing everybody in the lab, but we can still take a break, 5-minute break. We can go around and walk. So yes, if there is a will, we can do that. Definitely, we can purify that whatever activity that you are doing. Otherwise, like it's so sinful activities to do animal experiment.
yes, sir.
There's a tons and tons of sinful activities to
Yes,
torture animals in lab, and the only way we can purify. I mean, definitely we have to stop unnecessary killing of animals.
yes,
But definitely on the top of that, we have to also pray to Krishna to take us away from this, entangling things.
yes,
So
sir.
the only remedy is Krishna. Nobody else can give us freedom from the reaction of the work we are doing.
Yes, sir. Even if like somebody had told me that I, I will be doing animal experimentation, I would have stayed back. Like there is,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
So I mean, even if you're not doing animal experiment, being in this country, so many people are killing and we are paying tax.
Yes, sir.
So we are part of this slaughterhouse industry. So simply being in the network of this government who is encouraging slaughterhouse, killing innocent animals, and most sinful activity is killing cows. So we are part, like those who are ordering to kill, those who are killing, those who are distributing the animal products, those who are cooking, those who are eating, all of these, everybody is like a criminal in that, sharing the crime.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's very sinful, but only remedy is to surrender to Krishna and seek his guidance. When we sincerely pray to Krishna, then he gives us a way out and we get a purification in our life. That I have seen in my life. So it depends on our desire. Like Krishna always says, he is always fulfilling our desire. When we are desiring Krishna, Krishna will facilitate that. We have to desire. Yes. Thank you. Deepa Mataji, was your travel to India was peaceful because you are reading Gita regularly?
Yeah, actually, that's what like I try not to miss this Gita classes. So I always there is some lesson for me in each class. So and today's like I experienced that Yeah, by basically, I'm very anxious person from childhood. I had a lot of anxiety issues, but after reading Bhagavad Gita, I feel like that anxiety has reduced, and moreover, like I'm not good at multitasking. Always I used to see the result when it will just be completed, when that task will be completed, and that was like causing anxiety. So this Karma Yoga chapter has been very helpful for me, because it's like not looking at the fruits of the action and just perform whatever role. So I am becoming less anxious.
That's wonderful realization, Mataji. And
Yeah.
practically you are seeing the change in your life. Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
certainly a very positive, encouraging news that you have given us. And we really appreciate you that people, once they travel, like even many devotees are in St. Louis, like they are traveling and they're not connected because they're traveling, they say. But even you travel internationally, you are able to connect. So that's wonderful. It's early morning. You connected today at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So that's so nice. Thank you so much. We wish you very best your stay in India. Thank you, everyone, and happy holidays. And this week, next Sunday, I will be in St. Louis Temple giving class there. So there is a time conflict because we changed the timing to 6:30. That class goes from 6 to 7 there in Temple. So next Sunday we are not meeting. We'll meet after 2 weeks with your permission.
Yeah, Prabhu, one quick question. So on Sunday, like when you have class, so will it be, I mean, is it possible to attend that class through Zoom? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I will ask. Actually, it used to be always every Sunday was on Zoom, but recently, like 3-4 weeks ago, they started having physically meeting for Sunday puja in temple, and I don't see. Usually, they used to do a live on YouTube, but I will ask them. Maybe if the devotees would do that online telecast, maybe they are there. I will ask them. I will let you know, Prabhu.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna,
Yes.
please.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.